Andre, I have a follow-up question from the first time that you came here, and I asked you about the arms race, something that you always mention. United States lost the arms race and all that. And my question at that time was that, okay, so this is a continuum of time. How can we know that Russia win? And because there's no Fukuyama end of
Oh,
times
well,
and stuff like that. And your answer was very interesting back at the time, and I said, no, the Russians do not think like that. They keep working as a continuum. And I would like to do a follow up on this question about the technological development of Russia, not only on arms, but also on technology as a general. Russia now has the ship sprinters. It's still not comparable technology to what Chinese or the United States have, but they are improving. So, how do you see this continuum of technology improvement during this last 3 years?
well, I mean, it depends what you talk about when comparing to China. And so it's the whole other story. But no, I mean, Russia has its own lithography now. For those people who do not understand, and many people, again, for people whose technological horizon is primarily about iPhone and Tesla trucks, that means they never studied physics in their life. So is that Russia produces pretty much everything on its own. I mean, China may help, for example, like they used to providing those electric motors, essentially, not electric, just internal combustion motors for geranium drones. They don't. Russia builds its own, and Russia builds its own lithography equipment. That's what many people do not understand. Its own, completely Russian. So from lasers to all kinds of the optics and all those things and chemistry and whatever. So they are producing now 65 nanometer topology, which covers pretty much 80% of all chips, microchip requirements. So soon there are already prototypes for 22 nanometers as per phones. And well, you can buy them in. And again, 2 nanometer is the marketing thing, and it's completely. So when you look attentively, it's in terms of the military technology, which always rests on the advanced industry and fundamental science and applied science. The United States is not even in the same league. You all saw yourself beautiful American air defense against Iran. What many people do not understand. And even the United States admitted, and it was all over the place, they lost about $130 billion in air defense in special military operation. 130 billion. So for people who do not understand what I'm talking about, essentially United States lost, by different estimate, 130 different complexes that sell batteries, each complex of the wanted Patriot PAC-3. They just cannot intercept modern Russian strike weapons. They're just not designed. And Iran showed that even the older versions of the purely ballistic missiles, they cannot intercept it. And so that tells you the gap, and the gap is colossal. Pure hypersonic weapons, no, China doesn't have those. China has a very specific thing. They developed this, what is called they try to develop the strategic hypersonic weapon, something like the equivalent of avant-garde. They still don't have it in appropriate way. They love to parade them, but in terms of something like 3M22 Zircon, there's nobody there on the horizon. It just and Russians demonstrated to about 2 weeks ago the arrival of zircons to Kiev, and you could see for the first time what it is. So good luck intercepting those. So you will need about 20 years to develop kinetics or something, and lasers do not work on them. Not that they have it, but still. This is just to explain what we are dealing with. And now you have the whole completely new paradigm because, and this is what many people still cannot grasp, Russian army, armed forces, are the only armed forces in the world who actually operate within the full-blown net-centric capability. Not even U.S. military. U.S. military doesn't have this capability. And especially they don't have the real serious, well, they have Palantir, which kills girls and children. And, that's what they have. The bunch of the morons who learn how to write code. And so they create this model, which is garbage in, garbage out. As the result, they bomb primarily schools, kindergartens, kill children. That's what is good at. Reality is under real combat conditions. And Russians were improving this and unifying this, what is called the Rook-Rock, which is recon strike and recon fire complexes. Now they are in the, completely unified, so to speak, topology, which is in pretty much all domains, from space to air to ground to water and underwater. So, and this is a qualitative leap which cannot be closed anytime soon, especially considering the fact that if you look attentively at the Western world, they don't have even experience with anything like this in terms of the combat and in terms of the technology and industry which produces this technology. So, and what can I say? People sometimes, again, it's difficult to explain to a person who bought Tesla truck that what you're driving is garbage, it's not really high technology, they don't understand, for example, and you begin to explain to them what Kupol is or Asvet is and what is the, they wouldn't even, they will not understand this. They don't have reference point to understand how Russians do this. They don't have Starlink. Well, Russians have the very good communications, including space communications. And like, hello, remember who built the, half of the International Space Station? People still, they cannot break through this thing because they are so brainwashed. And it takes some coming to terms that United States is not technological leader. Its military is obsolete. That's what everybody saw what happens with the carrier battle groups. You cannot move them anywhere close to the shore because they will be sunk. So, and what can I say? Hey, I warned about it for 20 years, Don't do that, dudes. You're going to get bankrupt. And so guess what? There we go.
I always found Tesla truck that looks exactly like that game Moon Patrol from Atari. Remember that?
People are, you cannot explain to people that the technological paradigm shift has to be prepared by all kinds of the factors, million of them, which is, other than that, it's like iPhone, my criteria, for example, for buying something like this is I come to Costco and say, which one is cheaper? Because I need only to send messages and to talk to people, maybe view some news. That's it. Remember Buzz Aldrin, Buzz Aldrin, second man on the moon, after. So, and Buzz was spot on when about 10 years ago, he was asked about what is space travel, and all that. And he said, you know what, when we flew to the moon in 1969, we thought by 2010 we will be flying to Mars. What we got Facebook instead. This is, and they call it tech companies. They are not tech companies. They write code and create yet another chip, which they reach the physical, limit of those chips now. So it's all about all those fakes like Steve Jobs selling garbage to morons, so, and it's the same thing. What is the new latest trend? What is the latest hot thing? Oh, artificial intelligence. No, artificial intelligence doesn't exist. It is garbage in, garbage out of the neural network. Simple as that. And that's why people do not understand what is happening, because you have those people. Listen, you have to understand. Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos and all they have academic degrees in nothing, essentially. They knew how to write code, and obviously, as we all know, their parents had nothing to do with their success, so, so they're so genius that people don't understand that actually Elon Musk is academic fraud. He never studied real engineering. He took some courses on physics in university, some second-rate university from South Africa. He actually doesn't have real engineering education. He has a lot of people from NASA who migrated from, and those guys are really good, So, but the guy sells, he sells, apart from Tesla truck, he sells flamethrowers. Wow. Can you imagine flamethrower by Elon Musk? So let's pay, instead of $50, let's pay $5,000 for it, So people are idiots. I'm sorry to say this, but for the most part, people are gullible. They are manipulated by all those MBAs with degrees in, economics from all kinds of those degree mills in Ivy League so-called schools. And so, yeah, that's what we have. But in reality, when you look attentively at what is happening in the real world and how industries, how real economies operate, which provide us with everything from food to clothes, to aircraft, to everything. And then suddenly, oh, yeah. Did you see the latest, just came out 3 days ago? No, 5, something like that, last week. The General Accountability Office, Government Accountability Office about F-35. It is a catastrophe. It is a catastrophe. It's operational. It's only 1 in 4 is ready to fulfill the mission. Great. What a great aircraft. That's what it is. That's spin. That's the only thing they can capable of. They cannot fight war. They cannot develop economy properly. So there you go.